Tonight, a 3TV original. We warn our kids about strangers, but are we doing enough as parents to protect them? We found one of the biggest youth sports leagues in the state is not running background checks on all their coaches.
Wouldn't parents want to know if someone coaching their kids has a criminal record?
That's scary.
All right, so who's coaching your kids? You might think that you know the coach on the field, but do you know if they have a record?
Yeah, did the league you signed your kid up to play for even bother to ask? What Nicole Kreitz found out tonight might surprise you.
Almost every kid plays some kind of youth sports growing up. Little league, flag football, soccer. The goal? Exposing them to the dynamics of teamwork, sportsmanship, and fitness. But with that comes exposure to some unintentional dangers.
We hear so often when we think about someone that wants to hurt children, they're a monster.
Jessica Nicely started the Valley nonprofit Winged Hope to help victims of child abuse and domestic violence.
The majority of the time, they're the really nice guys.
The statistics are staggering. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before they're 18.
Child sexual predators are looking for places where they have easy access to children.
And that's just one reason Jessica says anyone working with kids needs a background check. But that's not happening. We checked around and found one of the biggest youth sports leagues in the state, NYS, doesn't even make every coach fill out an application.
I think it's negligent.
If you don't run a background check, how are you supposed to know that the person coaching your kids doesn't have a criminal record?
They won't.
I thought that they would do them, or they did do them because they're working with children.
Adriana Reinhardt's son plays soccer with NYS. It's a mostly parent volunteer coaching league. Jessica says that doesn't mean it's safe.
The majority of child sex offenders are also heterosexual male. The majority of them are married. The majority of them have families.
NYS tells us they only background check coaches for tackle football, and only because those volunteers don't have to be parents and kids are often dropped off for longer practices.
I don't think it's that expensive.
It would cost around $50 or a couple extra bucks per registration. Adriana says she's more than willing to pay more for the league to start background checking all their coaches.
I would definitely think that they should try to start doing something about it, because that's scary.
Without question, that would be something I'd be willing to do.
I actually think it's a good idea.
On their website, it says every coach is a role model, which kind of made me laugh out loud a little bit.
This Gilbert mom has a protection order against her son's NYS football coach. He's done jail time and is on 3 years probation for 3 misdemeanor domestic violence convictions.
They've got to have a baseline for what they check, and it can't just be that you write your name on a line and you're the coach and that's good to go.
We're not naming her or her ex to protect their kids.
And I thought he would never hurt me. Yeah, he'll break something or whatever, but he would never hurt me. And then he did.
Her ex said he would never hurt their kids, who he has joint custody of, or any of the other kids he coaches. Because of the league directive that at least one parent be at every practice and game, except for tackle football, he told us he doesn't see a need for background checks and can't think of a safer place for children than to be with one of their parents.
When I sit at my children's sports activities, I am usually the only parent sitting there. So they can say that. That doesn't mean the parents are going to practice that.
My situation aside, I think that there just needs to be some type of standard, even if they draw the line at felony.
I9 Sports is another popular parent volunteer coaching league here in the Valley. They run background checks on all paid and volunteer coaches. So do all the city parks and rec leagues we checked with, from small towns like Queen Creek to Tempe, Mesa, and Phoenix, where they follow recommended national guidelines for background checks. Along with most felonies, any applicants with recent violent misdemeanors like domestic violence get flagged.
I didn't know there were other leagues that did and some that don't.
NYS says they are always attempting to make the safest environment for their participants, but background checks only catch people who've already been caught. Case in point, this Mesa gymnastics coach just sentenced to 23 years for sexual misconduct with a 13-year-old boy. He passed his background check. So did this Scottsdale track coach and former Teacher of the Year, sentenced to 10 years for having an ongoing affair with a 17-year-old girl.
So often I hear, yeah, that's not going to happen to my family.
Jessica says aside from liability, the league has a responsibility to cover their bases and at least check.
The concern for me is that a lot of parents are going to hear that and do nothing. And that's what the predators and the violent offenders who are coaches are counting on.
The VP for NYS didn't want to go on cam, but tells me he is considering changing his policy. Child safety advocates say while not every coach or pastor is a pedophile, most pedophiles do seek out positions to get closer to your children. So